We are going to talk about violent video games. As many as 97% of US kids aged from 12 to 17 play video games, and more than half of the 50 top-selling video games contain violence. Many people think that violent video games has less school shootings, increase in bullying and violence towards women. Firstly, for decades, researchers have conducted studies to find out whether violent video games lead to problems such as aggression, lack of empathy, and poor performances in school. Many studies have found that people who play violent video games are more likely to engage in aggressive behavior. In fact, there was enough research leading to this conclusion that the American Psychiatric Association published a policy statement in 2015 concluding that playing violent video games leads to more aggressive moods and behaviors and detracts from the player's feeling of empathy and sensitivity to aggression. Secondly, violent games reward players for simulating violence and teach children that violence is an acceptable way to solve conflicts. Games are so detailed and realistic that simulating the violent acts enhances the learning of violent behaviors. A 2015 peer-reviewed study found compelling evidence that the use of realistic controllers can have a significant effect on the level of cognitive aggression. 2 teenagers in Tennessee who shot at passing cars and killed one driver told police they got the idea from playing Grand Theft Auto Third. Bruce Basolo, professor of psychology at the University of Missouri, spoke about the effects of simulating violence. More than any other medium, these video games encourage active participation in violence. From a psychological perspective, video games are excellent teaching tools because they reward players for engaging in certain types of behavior. Unfortunately, in many popular video games, the behavior is violence. In conclusion, violent video games lead to real violence. We can't stop people playing games as hobbies to relieve their stress, but they have to be careful not to deeply fall into violent games. Also, it can be more dangerous, especially for children who are too young to make good decisions, like judgments. Therefore, the adults around the children should teach them well. Thank you.
Joining what you say about the video games, I want to say like nowadays the children are being raised up with new techniques. Like in the past, all of us we were playing outside. We had different lives, but nowadays a lot of our kids like parents use a lot of YouTube, a lot of apps, a lot of these things to create a better environment for the children. But all these techniques, like playing games for these kids, can be very useful. But in the moment the kids start facing this violence, they start facing like advertising, because every game has the advertising. So they start seeing all these, so their minds start changing. Like it's creating a new mindset for kids, because all kids are starting to grow like, okay, if I show you this, it's supposed to be bad. But now kids are allowed to see these things like normal. So they can identify like what is good and what is bad about these actions of violence. And yeah, in fact, as Eunice told it, the example of these kids shooting, because they see this in the video game, so they were playing, they think this was good because maybe they saw a video game that showed them like how to pronounce the vowels, so they were ABC, so they in their mind this was good. But when they faced the game, they thought that was good too, because they create something like happiness, because oh, this is interesting, this is creating something in me. So this activate this. I don't know if Vera wants to join.
It's okay. You don't have to. You don't have to. You just have a maximum of 7 minutes. You're welcome to use the rest of the 2 minutes or not. It's up to you. Would you? All right. He's asking if you want to use the rest of the 2 minutes.
It's my turn, or
If you want to,
what about them?
It's up to you. You could just make that the end of your opening remarks. So you don't have to go now. You can use the rest of the 2 minutes if you want to. It's not necessary. Yeah. Or you can save it for later. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So in conclusion, we think that
I can use
video games are related to
2 minutes.
how violent people are. Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, gotcha. That's quite all right. The other team, earlier, you don't have to use the minutes. It's not going to affect your grade. Okay, cool. I'm sorry. Let me get my thing here clear.
I just want to.
Trying to see the big. Maybe Jose. No, you're fine. It's this. The little pointer is so small. Okay, so that team was arguing for violent video games do lead to real violence. Now, this side is going to have 7 minutes to present their case. No, violent video games do not lead to actual violence in the real world. All right, let's give her a little bit of a warm applause for making her feel confident. Okay, here we go. And anytime you want, go ahead.
Okay, we don't think that violent video games lead to violent behavior. First, there is not complete evidence that support any link between violent video games and behavior in people. For example, person who has violent behavior and plays video games, they usually think that is because of that, but they are generalizing these ideas, because it also can have the person who plays, maybe who has I don't know, like they have problems, mental problems, and play these video games. It can lead to violent behavior, but not it doesn't happen in all the case. A person who has a good mental stability and play these video games, they just do it for fun, and that doesn't affect in their behaviors on the way they react to different reactions. So that is one of the reasons why we don't agree with this. So.
Sometimes we don't understand why people always say that the violent video games like lead to real violence. How about the movie, for example? So, report of the witness, the James, the associate professor from the sociology from Western Michigan University, proved that no relationship between playing violent video game real violence, because it's depend of the person, because of depend of the environment where they live, because of the where or how the parents like build mental of the children. And then he said children who play violent video games may have tendency toward aggression, but not lead to the violence. In 2008, at the lower school survey, he taken survey from 6,000, more than 6,000 students who had played violent video games. And then he discovered that playing violent video games, no matter how bloody the games, didn't predict the violent behavior to the player. And then another person whose name is Ferguson said, same his professor from the Stetson University support James' opinion. He said that the play violent video game can help to reduce socialized violence. Basically, young males usually busy with things that they like, and then this proof to will keep them far away from something that make them trouble. So like violence, for example. And then another economical study published on February 2016 about the violent criminals. After the violence video game release, it discovered that general violence decreased in the week after appearance a new edition of the game. So I think the violent video games is not to do the violence, because the player is the players who play the video games like more focused, more aggressive for the good things, and then the potential of the people to improve the ability to pay attention.
Okay. Cool. And that's it?
That's
it. Not a problem. No, thank you. It's good. Okay. So, really, already I could see everybody was very thorough and trying to bring cited sources, especially with science and stuff. Both of you all did, which is great. It was really persuasive. Now, this side will have 5 minutes to bring their case, maybe some additional facts that you want to, or to counter something that they had said just a few moments ago. So, someone can talk. Yeah, you have 5 minutes to respond. Someone can come up here and do the 5-minute portion now. Oh, I think it's you, Vera, right?
Yeah.
I think you're up. Yeah. Awesome. No worries. Okay. Anytime you want. That's fine. I'll start.
It's 5 minutes.
Or
you can take more.
you could talk. It's fine. Or you could if Vera, you don't have to talk for 5 minutes. If you talk, only have 3 minutes of something to say, then you can share with your partners. And, yeah, that's only a maximum, not a minimum. Okay. Yeah. Anyway. All right. Hey, what do you want to say? Go ahead.
Okay. Overall, the Academy's summary of the results from more than 400 the studies reveals a significant link between being exposed to violent media and aggressive behavior, and aggressive thought and angry feelings. If violent images don't have a negative effect on children, why do the movies still need a rating system? And video game have the rating system too. The Grand Theft Auto, the game, rated M, are meant for kids 17 and up. And Rola a friend, Rola just told me her son is in the Seven Lake High School. Seven Lake High School prohibited the popular violent game called Fortnite. The students are not allowed to play the game at school. Why do they do that? Why do they have the rating system? Because violent video games lead to real violence. There are significant link between them, and simulating
Simultaneously?
Simulating violence such as shooting guns and hand-to-hand combat in video game can cause real-life violent behavior. Because video games often require players to simulate violent actions such as stabbing, shooting, or dismembering someone with an axe, sword, chainsaw, or other weapons. So in Munich, Germany, an 18-year-old gunman who killed 9 people in July 2016 was a fan of the first-person shooter video games. Many perpetrators of the mass shooting played violent video games too. The teenager shoots in the 1999 Columbia High School massacre of 13 students played violent combat games. Many mass shootings have been carried out by avid video game player such as James Holmes and Anders Breivik, who killed 77 people in Norway and admit to using the game Modern Warfare 2 for training. So all these are examples of our statement to illustrate our statement. Violent video games lead to real violence.
Cool. Nice. Yeah. All right. Wow. Okay. So now, pause it here. Now, this side will have 5 minutes to address anything that was just said or said earlier, or bring up some new points. You have 5 minutes to do whatever you'd like to say. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I know you're missing a partner, and I take that into consideration. I know you were planning on your partner being here, and I realize that. But yeah. Okay. Can you go up there?
For Farah. Maybe because of
I'm sorry. You got 5 minutes to go up there. You got to stand up there.
Why?
We want to see.
Well, because
recording
that's the way it goes. Yeah, it's recording. Oh yeah, my camera
Yeah,
will.
take your notes. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, it's all good.
Easy to stop in the.
And if at some point you want to stop and let Natalia say something, that's fine. You just switch places. Okay. And anytime you want, go ahead.
Regarding of the Farah say about the rate of the movie or the video games, and then I want to say that maybe that's different because like I want to compare with the about the shooting in the happen in United States. Some of them is like we found in not I found, but I found in the internet that in the from the Virginia Tech there's a shooting in there, and then that the found that the victim is not the shooter is not because he loved to play the violent video game. He never played the video games, so I think it's maybe. Not because of that people will do the violence, and then about the rate of the movie, of course they have the movie, of course they have the rate, but the parents is have to beside of them to control the children to play. So I mean like environmental where they live is like support for the children to the next, not because of the whatever the rate is not, it's not related about the what the children will do it.
It's okay. Hey. That's okay. Good. It's fine. Mr. Dolly, it's up to you if you want to say something. If you don't want to, okay, that's all right. No problem. And we'll stop it there. Okay. Now it's up to you. All right. So we're gonna move on to our closing. You guys had 5 minutes. You guys had 5 minutes, right? Yeah. So wait. Y'all had your 5 minutes. Oh, that was Vera. That's right. Okay. So now we're gonna go up to the last 2 minutes. Basically, it's a summary of your points. Anybody can use 2 minutes to have a closer. And by the way, you can already start thinking of maybe about questions or comments you want to make to them, because we're going to have a little Q&A afterwards, etc. And I promise we'll have opportunity to do the second debate too. So this side, you have 2 minutes for rebuttal or a summary, etc. Anybody? You want to try, Carlos? Yeah, you can tag team. And if you run out of ideas, that's quite all right. Maybe hand it off to Ms. Eunice, or there you go and bring some stuff. There you go. What a team! Look at that. What a team. Okay, and anytime you want, go right ahead.
Okay, so to finish this debate, I wanna say like about the rating is easy to understand. They're not allowed for kids because it's gonna change. As they say, this game were a game for focusing. So how this game cannot be for violence. So just to wrap up that topic. So we firmly believe the violent video games are like can be and are being right now in our society, and are even changing the world, because we see these shooters every other month, something like that, and it's becoming like normal. So it's becoming like something that we know. Oh, it's another one. Oh, another school. So. We need to see like very deep where did this come from. Like every time this happens, it's a statement that says these guys used to play this game. I mean, every time is related with this. So we seeing it. Maybe they don't wanna. Everything in the world is about money. These big companies of gaming, these are big companies. They rule some part of the world. So we don't know the studies that they do. We don't know how they do it. Who found these studies? So we think surveillance is not the main cause, but because puberty can be a higher cause for violence, but it's obvious for us that video games is also doing it.
Okay, it's fun. There you go, cool. All right. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you support your partner there. Okay, now you'll have 2 minutes to finish up there, Miss Sandra, and anytime. You do great. Okay. Anytime you want, go ahead.
To sum up, for us, it keeps being a very general idea that the violent behaviors are because of violent video games. Because just like I said before, it depends if a person has mental problem and plays these games. Maybe it can affect in their behaviors. But if you compare to a person that is completely good, it doesn't affect it anything. Maybe sometimes it says that also these violent video games can have positive effects in people, because when they see all this violence, maybe they feel guilty and they try to prevent it. Let's see.
Cool. All right. Cool. Yeah.